It's Playday 7 for APAC South. So much to unpack, so many storylines to go through. A lot on the line tonight, Guz and Dev, of course. So many teams looking to head to the Sweden Major and some looking to avoid relegations. Guz, I know you've been hard at work all week trying to get through all of the statistics.
Yeah, big night ahead of us. So many numbers to try and wrap our heads around. But no doubt, every single match tonight is super critical. Every team can make the top four, which is wild. We have 3 teams battling it out for first as well, so it's going to be a great night.
Dev, it's been an amazing stage so far, hasn't it? As APAC South usually is, it comes down to the final play day. It's as close as it really can ever be. 5 points separating top spot and last spot.
That's it, and there are no dead rubber games tonight as well. The Chiefs are on for what could be their best stage all year long. In stage 1, they just scraped into playoffs, didn't get any SI points despite going through to that. They got first round in stage 2, they missed out. Stage 3, they could bypass playoffs, go direct to the major. All they've got to do is win to stay ahead of IG and Elevate, who are hot on their tails. There's a rivalry going on there as well. Both of those teams have been fighting neck and neck. IG stole Elevate's spot to the August Major in Mexico, so there's a fierce rivalry going on, and like you guys have said, the entire rest of the standings is still up for grabs as well. Even Order can, I believe, technically make playoffs in some crazy situations, so there is absolutely no doubt that Stage 3 has been one hell of a ride.
Yeah, the only team that's locked into something is the Chiefs being locked into the top 4. That's it, everything else up for grabs. Let's go and have a look at the schedule for today, though. Of course, it will be dictating the matchups that are going to be at the forefront. Knights versus Direwolves. It's pretty simple. Knights must win. Then you've got Chiefs versus Order. That in itself, guys, is a pretty big match, of course, for the Chiefs. If they win and they get all 3 points, they are going to the major. For Order, they're fighting for playoff hopes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Of course, Order's chances, unfortunately, are like less than 1%, even a regulation win for them. They need everything else to go their way, and even then it might not be confirmed, so rough for them. Heading into the rest of the night, however, again, Southeast Asian rivalry between Invictus and Elevate. Remnants maybe of the last stage, as Dev mentioned, where both teams really battling it out. Neither team currently confirmed for playoffs, and depending on that Order's Chiefs game, maybe they'll be fighting for first as well, so that's no doubt going to be a huge matchup. And then to round out the night, again, 2 teams fighting for playoffs positions and wildcard with the added pressure of relegations looming as well.
Let's go and have a look at the predictions, of course. Guys generally leading the way, Dev, but it's been a stage where, once again, very difficult to predict. But I think out of all of the stages so far for the calendar year, this stage, for whatever reason, seems that it's been quite easy for Raven, Guz, and Manic. We've kind of struggled a little bit, but for tonight, it seems to be pretty stock standard.
Yeah, look, we do have a lot of agreement for all of the games. You know, the Chiefs Order one, funnily enough, is the most one-sided among our predictors, which I think goes and makes sense with the stakes for both teams, right? Order have quite low stakes. They're already confirmed to be playing in relegation. It's very much unlikely, even if they win, even if they 7-0 Chiefs, that they'll be able to make playoffs, whereas Chiefs have all the stakes, right? If they win in regulation or in overtime, they will go to the Sweden Major. But it's funny because that, I think, actually adds an extra layer of pressure onto that game. Way back in the day, this Chiefs roster played and they were, what, 1 game away from making it to the Pro League finals back in the day, and they were shut down by a team with nothing to lose. So there's definitely added pressure even on that game that we all agree on.
Yeah, they still need to throw everything at that match and more to win it. Order are a team that can definitely surprise us. We've seen that in the past. Sometimes they look down and out and then they just show up on the night. They're a team that obviously has a lot of talent. But let's bring our attention, of course, to the first matchup of the day. And pretty much like all of the matchups, it's got some enticing storylines, guys. Knights, they must win.
Yeah. So heading into tonight, the Knights need a regulation win to be any chance of making the playoffs. If they do get a regulation win, they sit at about a 25% chance of making it through because they still need to rely on some other results. I don't have it listed here exactly what that result is. I'm sure Dev has it off the top of his head, but yeah, it's been a rough stage for the Knights and they'll be looking to bounce back tonight.
Isn't it just crazy to think that this is our Stage 2 champions who got that direct invite to the Mexico Major, unfortunately couldn't go due to travel restrictions, and now they're sitting in second last for Stage 3. What a horrendous last couple months it has been for this roster. Honestly, on a good day, I think they're the best team in all of APAC, not just South, but also North, and yet we just haven't seen that from them have only had a single regulation win, 2 overtime wins, 3 regulation losses in Stage 3. Now, there is still a chance they could make it to Sweden, but they're going to have to win 3 points in this match and hope that Elevate don't get a single point in their match. So the stakes could not be higher. And even then, that's not just to go to Sweden, that's to go to playoffs, which they would have to fight through to earn their spot at the major.
And of course, the Knights fresh off of the OCN Grand Final loss in the National League, 3-1 to the Chiefs. Sage coming off an MVP season over there. Let's look at their opponents though. Direwolves, of course, they too trying to fight for that top 4 position. They've got a pretty decent chance as long as they can win this game against the Knights. That will put them on 11 points. I don't know what your statistics are for them, Guz, but I'm sure it's a bit higher than the Knights.
Yeah, we'll rattle off the numbers quickly. If they get a regulation win, they stand at a 95+% chance of making it to the playoffs. An OT win sits at around 14%. But this is a double-edged sword for Divers. They're not just fighting for a Stage 3 playoffs position, they're also battling against Wildcard. They don't have the head-to-head against them for the relegation run. So if Divers get just a single point tonight, they might not necessarily confirm playoffs, but they'll at least secure that safety net against Wildcard. If they lose in regulation, then they leave that opportunity for them to get snuck up on in the final game of the night.
Yeah, and Dev, it was pretty big. Playday 6, Direwolves and Wildcard actually played each other, and that went to all 15 rounds. Direwolves just edging out. That does mean if the event happens tonight where Direwolves get 3 points, Wildcard get 3 points, they'll have that tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's it. And like Guz said, it just means Direwolves need at least 1 point from this match, and they guarantee they won't play in the relegations. They will confirm their 2022 season. So no doubt that is priority number 1 for Direwolves, but also knowing that they've never made it to a major before and that there is a possibility for one. They're currently in 5th place, just 1 point behind 4th. So that is the closest they possibly could get to playoffs. They've actually also made it to playoffs several times before, just not had luck when they've managed to get there. So there's a lot of stakes for Direwolves. But I kind of feel like the stakes are even higher for the Knights, who honestly you would expect to be making playoffs. You'd expect to be making in the major. Stage 1, they went to playoffs. They won the whole playoffs, but there was no major to go to. Stage 2, they came first and they couldn't go to the major due to the travel restrictions. So I think for Knights, like there's got to be like a level of frustration here. If finally there is a major that they could physically attend and they don't qualify, what a slap in the gut that would be.
Certainly would be for the Knights. It feels like they got off to the most amazing start really for this calendar year, and as the year has gone on, it's just been setback after setback, and we'll see if they can overcome this hurdle. Bringing our attention over to the Matt Vito's discussion here, Guz, in terms of this particular matchup, is there any sort of thoughts where you think we may be heading for this game? Of course, it is best of 1 still to close out this season.
In terms of the map pool that both of these teams have sort of delved into in the calendar year, Coast, Cafe and Oregon have a bit of a layover. The Knights, though, they've been particularly strong on other maps like Clubhouse and Villa, so we can probably rule those out. I am expecting one of those 3 maps, as I mentioned, Coastline, Cafe or Oregon, but you never know. Final Playday can often throw a spanner in the works. Teams aren't really hiding anything. It's all or nothing at this point, so...
Let's go and have a look at the map, Vitos, and then we'll get the lovely Dev Marta to break the map down. It is going to be Oregon, pretty structured map.
Yeah, it is. Nice to see the Cafe ban nice and early from Knights. You mentioned that could be on the cards, but I think it's a good move. You know, it's the one that Direwolves have had the most wins on since they got picked up by the Direwolves. So Oregon, we're looking at a map where Knights actually recently lost in the national circuit, but overall have had pretty positive results. This year in total, 6 wins and 4 losses. So I think this is a pretty good map for Knights. I think that it's one that we've seen them have a lot of depth, a lot of different strats. We've seen Juicy on the Montaigne, for example, do some really good work. I think that could definitely work against Direwolves. And as for Direwolves, we recently saw them lose to Elevate on this map, but it was a close 7-5. So look, I think this is a pretty evenly matched map. I think that on a good day, there should be Knights like really convincingly, but the thing is, Knights don't have very many good days at the moment. So there definitely is an opportunity for an upset here for Direwolves.
Well, guys, a bit of recency here, of course. Oregon was played in the grand final for OCN against the Chiefs. Knights, we kind of expected them to win that, then they didn't. Is that a concern coming into this matchup?
Potentially, a little bit. I think just backing on Dev's point a little bit though, let's just say theoretically both of these teams play at 100%, play at their very best here on Oregon in this head-to-head. Knights, every day of the week, we have seen them in OCN in particular a couple of times play really loosely, play their game, dictate the terms, and just absolutely dominated their opponents. So I think at their very best, Knights, this is an easy win, but as Dev as well mentioned, like, they just haven't been as good as they've been throughout stages 1 and 2. Difficult to pinpoint why, but they just haven't been at full strength.
Deb, is there maybe a bit of ignorance to the Direwolves here? Of course, they've won their last 2 games, one of which was a stomping over IG back in Playday 5, then they got over the line against Wildcard. Are we not giving them enough respect coming into this matchup, especially with what they need to achieve to get top 4 being a win? Like, they're going to have to throw everything at this game.
I think it's definitely true that Direwolves have the hotter form right now. Knights are definitely out of form. I think that if you look at like the whole season long, the whole year of results, if you kind of just think how good is the team in general, I think Knights, like we've said, like they should ideally be like the best team in the whole region. Like they are just so much better than Direwolves at their best, right? The Direwolves, though, they're the kind of team that like just really can upset your momentum. They're the kind of team that throws everything at the wall. They seem to have like a really good environment in the team. Like every time we talk to ED, it sounds like they just give it everything that they've got. And sometimes that's not necessarily super strategic. Sometimes it's just aggression. And sometimes it catches teams off guard, makes them look silly, like you said, 7-3 over Invictus in their just 2 games ago. But, you know, it's Knights that really need to demonstrate that while they've got the foundation there, while they have the ceiling there, they just need to have a little bit of what we've seen from Direwolves, which is that kind of mental fortitude and that positive attitude that's going to get them across the line, because they have been in a rut. And honestly, like this game is basically a determinant of like what wins, like a skill ceiling of a team or like a mental fortitude and form of a team.
I'll start going around the table here, collecting final thoughts, but Gaz, I pose a question to you. Do the Direwolves get at least 1 point out of this game and get out of relegations?
That is a very spicy question. That is the question on everyone's lips at the moment, I think. I'm going to say yes. I think there's a very real chance this does get pushed to overtime, particularly, again, if Knights don't play full strength like they did back in Stage 2, for example. Very real prospects. So I think I'll still back in the Knights just to squeeze out and get the win, which, again, isn't enough for them anyway. And then Direwolves get that single point to avoid relegations. But, yeah, I'm going to say 8-7 Knights.
Dev, what are the win conditions in this matchup for, I guess, both teams, if you've got a bit of time here on your plate?
Well, like I said, I think that Knights are out of form. I think that Direwolves is in form, but I think that overall Knights is a better team. So it's just about what kind of form Knights has been able to scramble in the last couple of weeks. Like we said, that they played the OCN Grand Final, they lost that, but we did see a fantastic map on Clubhouse from them, 7-1, and so they definitely still have the fire in them. We know that Sage is, while Knights is in like their worst form ever, Sage is probably individually in his best form we've ever seen. He is a monster. His opening kill like stat is just so very strong, while also balancing a leadership role on the team. But I think it's clear, right, that these days you can't just rely on, say, Sage to pop off. Like it's a team thing, and Knights are known for being a good, well-rounded team. And I think it's just coming into this game with adequate preparation, with an attitude that they're not underestimating Direwolves, that they've done their due diligence in the map research process, in all the counter-stratting that we've got Picky and Sketchy doing. I think that that's exactly what Knights need to do. And honestly, I think if Knights have done that and they stay composed on the day, this should be a 7-4 or better result for them. But I've got to admit, and I'm gonna finish this. You told me to fill, so I'm gonna fill, mate. Direwolves can upset that, and I have this sinking feeling that they're going to.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Dev. I think there's a chance that the Direwolves could definitely spoil the party here. Knights definitely, though, should go in as favorites. Let's go to a break, though. We do come back, though. This very tantalizing matchup will take place.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. I waited for you in the passenger seat. There's only so far I can ride in your dreams. While you were chasing everything else but me, I'm starting to break out from your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. I'm not backing down, cause the future is now. Not backing down, cause the future is now. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes, baby. You think a little too small. I got big goals, baby. Ain't where the money at? Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it and split it with my kinfolk daily, and I'm the type of that might change my number on you. Yeah, that's how you react when people took a slumber on you. Pretty brown skin, baby, I can see the summer on you. You see all the bread, and I know it make you wonder, don't you, don't you, don't you? Ooh, I ain't surprised at all. Seen them rise and fall. Went up the mountain, it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top, I found some relief. I finally got some peace. Carry on, but please don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. No, I need it, beat it, before you mess up the mood. Yeah, ooh, I worked too hard for it, and I need it, so please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. Yeah, don't mess up the mood. Oh, it's so crucial, I gotta keep it. It's in the air, it's everywhere. No, it's not a secret, and I bet they didn't think that I'd ever get it. Everything you've done, I did it. The life you're dreaming, I live it, and I'm coming in high. You better get out the kitchen. Yeah, I could make a hit on whatever you pitching. Baby, let me fill up whatever you missing. Or you like it up at the top, it's a better view, isn't it? I'm not surprised at all. what you need, come on, just pay the fee. I supply it all. Went up the mountain and it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top I found some relief, you see, so please don't mess up the mood. Yeah. I worked too hard for it. No, I need it, beat it, oh, you mess up the mood. Alright, ooh, I worked too hard for it, and I need it, so please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah. Oh, come on. I worked too hard for it. Yeah. Don't mess up the mood. Hey yo, the rain was steady pouring, heard the drops, the drizzle meant to be. Chilling in my crib, no doubt, peep the scenery. Telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer it. I heard a knock at the door, so I answered it. And with Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block, and they be pumping weight and holding, so Dwayne got shot. Now see, Dwayne was just a knucklehead, but still with his cousin. And I'd be wrong if I ain't help him when it's beef, he gon' rush. And he said, listen, homie, ain't no time for discussion. Motherfucking pressure's rising and it's boiling the bustin'. So if you with me, then you with me, nigga, make a decision. Got the bait, you be the hook, cause we's about to go fishing. Now listen, when it's on, then it's on for show. Kiss my girl up on the head and then the wind up the door. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, say goodnight. Hey yo, we pulled up on the block and it's raining, it's hard to see shit. All I seen is 6 headlights, that means it's 3 whips. 3 chicks hopped at the whip, they had some heaters with them. Walked up on it slowly and told me they wanted to get to know me. Jermaine was scoping them bitches, he peeped their strategy. They took us to a building with children, they watching actually, but naturally took us to the basement instead. I see Dwayne up in the corner, but they told me he's dead. That's when I looked up at Jermaine, he got a smirk that he made. Put his pistol to my back and told the bitches I'm straight. Motherfucker set me up, but ain't no time for discussion. Seen him stalling for a minute, so I started to rush him. Knocked the pistol out his hand and quickly fell to the floor. We scuffled back and forth for minutes, I got snuffed in my jaw. And when I got back to my feet, I saw him clutching his heater. He pulled it quickly like a symphony, and now I'm with Jesus. It's like stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stunned up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, say goodnight, yo.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out cause you kept cutting the cord. And I started to fade into your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now. I waited for you in the passenger seat. There's only so far I can ride in your dreams. While you were chasing everything else but me, I'm starting to break out from your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I is now. The future is now. I'm not backing down, 'cause the future is now. Not backing down, 'cause the future is now. The future starts right now. I made a reservation, but you never came, so I'm checking out. The fire you stole away, I know one day we'll come back around. The future is now. The future is now. The future is now.
Hey yo, the rain was steady pouring, heard the drops of drizzle meant to be. Chilling in my crib, no doubt, peep the scenery. Telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer it. I heard a knock at the door, so I answered it. And with Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block, and they be pumping weight and holding, so Dwayne got shot. Now see, Dwayne was just a knucklehead, but still with his cousin. And I'd be wrong if I ain't help him when his beef, he gon' rush. And he said, listen, homie, ain't no time for discussion. Motherfucking pressure's rising and it's boiling the bustin'. So if you with me, then you with me, nigga, make a decision. Got the bait, you be the hook, 'cause we's about to go fishing. Now listen, when it's on, then it's on for show. Kiss my girl up on the head and then the wind out the door. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, say goodnight. Hey yo, we pulled up on the block and it's raining, it's hard to see shit. All I seen is 6 headlights, that means it's 3 whips. 3 chicks hopped at the whip, they had some heaters with them. Walked up on us slowly and told me they wanted to get to know me. Jermaine was scoping them bitches, he peeped their strategy. They took us to a building with children, they watching actually, but naturally took us to the basement instead. I see Dwayne up in the corner, but they told me he's dead. That's when I looked up at Jermaine, he got a smirk that he made. Put his pistol to my back and told the bitches I'm straight. Motherfucker set me up, but ain't no time for discussion. Seen him stalling for a minute, so I started to rush him. Knocked the pistol out his hand and quickly fell to the floor. We scuffled back and forth for minutes, I got snuffed in my jaw. And when I got back to my feet, I saw him clutching his heater. He pulled it quickly like a symphony, get down with Jesus. It's like stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, and say goodnight. Stuck up in the dark, it comes to light. So always play your part, say goodnight, yo.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your gray. See, I finally opened up my eyes, and I saw me coming back to life. That I'd be better without you inside. It's time to be someone I wanna recognize. The future starts right now. I made a reservation.
Well, let's kickstart this final play day, Raven. We've got Knights and Direwolves going up against each other. The boys have prefaced it perfectly on the desk. There's plenty to fight for both of these teams, but I don't know. I really don't know what camp I sit in terms of who has more weight against them. It does feel like Direwolves, their storyline is pretty dire, if you will. But
yeah,
the Knights, I mean, SI is still on the line here.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a tough one to predict. And the Knights with just such back and forth form this stage, really hard to choose. I'm still feeling like Knights have got this one in the bag.
Yeah.
They've kind of got a little bit, I don't know, more to gain because obviously making playoffs is important for their SI campaign. So yeah, look, I feel like they've got it in them.
More to gain, less to lose. More to lose for Direwolves because they are facing relegations. This is a pretty tough situation for both of these teams to find themselves in, but we do head to Oregon. I still am just not sure what camp I'm sitting in here. Feel like the Knights have got this backed in. If they play like them, they play like themselves that we've seen all year long, this should be an easy game for them. However, we saw this matchup in stage 1. Direwolves went down 0-6. They went down all 6 defensive rounds and then came back to push it to OT. So who knows, Raven? Maybe there's something in the water on Oregon.
Yeah, look, I actually felt like it was really fitting to see it go to Oregon because that was that first stage match and it was very hectic. You know, going to overtime, we really expected Knights were going to run all over Direwolves, but they put up such a great fight on their attacks, of all things. So look, I think Direwolves have grown a lot since then, and if anything, you know, the Knights have kind of stagnated a little bit. So look, I'm super curious how this is going to play out.
There we go. Rehost. Wrong side of the coin. We flicked it up and it did not land all that favorably, but that's okay, Raven, because this is what we do best here. Yes. We just move on, don't we? But we can probably talk about, you know, the implications of this matchup in particular. I do really feel as though Direwolves, with the way that they've been performing and the way they perform toward the end of every season, they just, I don't know, it feels like it takes them 3 or 4 games to get going before they start punching at the weight that we expect them to.
Yeah, look, it does feel like that sometimes. It does feel like the Knights just, I don't know, it's like they have some rough starts occasionally, even to bring it to like a map level. You know, sometimes you'll see them lose a couple of rounds and you're just wondering, where are the Knights? And it's like they wake up and all of a sudden they're just, here they are.
Yeah.
So look, I think if they can kind of just tune into that form nice and early in this game, they should have it in the bag. But we've just seen every Playday this week, it's just not a sad thing with them at this stage, and it, you know, it's really sad. As the desk was saying, they were our stage 2 champions, and they just haven't looked at all like that in stage 3.
No, the Titans have been chopped down, and you know, in the National League, it didn't really go their way either. We'd spoken to them all stage long. They were feeling good. They'd put so much emphasis on OCN, and unfortunately at the final hurdle they kind of stumbled a little bit. But I don't even think it's necessarily stumbling, right? Like, going up against a team like the Chiefs that are fighting for a third back-to-back championship. I mean, when you're talking about what's on the line for Chiefs versus Knights in that final best of 5, I don't think you can really compare it all that much, because it just feels like the weight that Chiefs had up against them was far, far greater. However, I guess looking at this match in particular, I really just feel like with Direwolves and the way that we've seen them perform throughout the year, this is going to go one of 2 ways. This is going to go either like an absolute stomp in favor of Knights, or Direwolves are going to make this one of the more interesting matches we've had this stage. And I honestly, I think when you look back at the trend that they've kind of set toward the end of the stages, you know, we look specifically at stage 3, for example. Playday 4, they pretty much took Elevate to OT. I think it was one final round that they just tripped on. They beat IG. They handed them their first loss since the major. And Raven, I don't need to really bat on how important that was in setting up the storylines that we have right now, but there is just something about Direwolves that they just band together and they bring in some of the, I'm going to say, some of the stranger results that you expect. And I think that that's just been their whole storyline from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You just don't know what you're going to expect from them in the server.
Yeah, look, they are also one of those teams that's a little bit, I guess you could say, inconsistent. Sometimes we see weeks where there's just a lot of things going wrong for them and it doesn't look good, but then there are weeks where they're just absolutely on fire. And I think back to when they had such a strong victory against Invictus Gaming, and that was, on a map that we were prefacing as a write-off, where like we've thought Invictus Gaming were going to absolutely smash them. But then Direwolves showed up, 7-3 victory.
Yeah.
They just looked absolutely flying. And I guess that's the scary thing for the Knights here as well is, if that Direwolves shows up here in Oregon, they've probably had some pretty important learnings from when they played off back in stage 1.
Yep.
So there's every chance that Direwolves could show up with what's needed to actually get a victory here.
And that's it. All they need to do, well, actually, no, they don't even need to secure a victory. In terms of the 2021 standings, I will say, of course, for stage 3, it is of the utmost importance that they take all 3 points away. But in terms of relegations, I think Guz was saying they only need 1 point. I haven't actually confirmed the stats completely to a T, but if 1 point is all they need here, OT will do it. OT will secure their 2022 season, but you can't be sitting in that mentality. You have to be forward. You have to attack this with the mentality that you are playing for a spot in that top 4 for stage 3 and that you could still have that door open for you come the Sweden Major.
Yeah, absolutely. You never want the mentality of just settling for the minimum. You always want to go hard. And for Direwolves, getting 3 points here gets them their best possible chance of holding on to playoffs. So they're going to be going straight for that. But the same can be said for Knights. They need 3 points out of this game. There is no alternative for them here. And even if they get 3 points, it's still definitely not a said thing, but it's their opportunity. So look, I think the stakes are high for both of these teams. And this is the last chance for the whole year. This is the last actual regular Playday for the 2021 season.
Interesting ban from the Knights there on the defense, taking out the clash. Oast has seen so much more clash this year, and I'm so glad about it. It really has brought a dynamic kind of range to that defense. However, Knights not interested in allowing Direwolves to play that come the second half. And look, I guess you could say somewhat shot in the foot if you were to try and play that in the basement on your own attack, but it seems like they're pretty comfortable. I'd like this setup early on. We got the Vigil and the Mute. Oh, surely we lean into this. Surely we're looking for a roam from Knights.
Looks like a fairly aggressive lineup in general for Laundry, and of course that's kind of what the bans have dictated here, right? Like you can't have the Wamaya, you can't even have the Clash playing around Pillar or even in Bunker, we've seen sometimes, or in Freezer as well. So with the way that these bans are structured, you're going to either have to hard stick the Jaeger to try and still do that, elbow extended setup, or you go for something much looser and a little bit more aggressive. And in that case, that's what the Knights look like they're going for. They're going for the Valkyrie for that extra info, so they can play off that for more aggression. They're playing Intel Denial through the Mute, and even the Vigil to an extent to aid that roam. I just think overall it kind of is going to facilitate some more freedom style of play here from the Knights.
Do hope that we see them stick this and kind of take that fight to Direwolves. Automatically double Rioing on Blue. I guess that's kind of to be expected. You don't have the smoke to play for. You don't really have any kind of denial past those C4s, which you still have 3 off. So it's well and truly going to come into effect. But very much, look at this extension. I'm really liking how aggressive this is, Raven. And it really will just be about, 1, how long do Knights hold onto it for? And 2, how much can they get done in this early round?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually super keen to see how this pans out, and also if Direwolves read into it or not. So, I mean, one thing here is potentially that elbow wall could be an easy take, but they're going to have to not rely on that. They have to get further map control. That's what the Knights are banking on with the way they've set up this roam. And so far, it definitely looks like Direwolves are going to play into it. So this round certainly could be won or lost here in the actual first half of the round.
These parts of the round always feel so dangerous. It's almost like cutting the tension with a knife. You just have to be so cautious. One wrong step, you lose your hard breacher, you lose your entry, or even worse, for Knights, you lose your roamer. Sage, though, bites back. Shadow at the bottom of white just needs to relax for a second, wait for the support from Dining, which it looks like he's going to get. Juicy's now come up Freezer stairs as well. This is looking all right for Knights, provided they can hold on to this and force the issues with Direwolves. This could be dangerous.
Yeah, and Sage in such a good position, but ED, the beautiful flick to the head, gets that for Direwolves. Now, this is starting to fall apart for Knights, but that's a really good shot from Hayward to at least keep it as the 3 versus 3. Still not really making any impact in terms of the operators they're getting, and Souffle just makes light work of Hayward on that one. So just like that, Manic, as we said, in the first half of the round, the Knights are down to just 2 players. As you can see here, Dino and Juicy both on site.
Hayward definitely thought he was in the clear there, trying to run back down the rear stage stairs, but it's not to be. Big Tower is as dirty as it comes, and now two players, like you said, back-to-back on site. They are going to have to anchor this. They are going to have to play for the time. There's a minute left. Direwolves are getting so much work done. As you start to look at the Knights, the players who are already down, what are they watching? What kind of intel are they going to have when push comes to shove? What are they going to be able to achieve?
And look, there's still 6 drones in total in the hands of Direwolves here, so they're certainly, with all of the advantages coming into this final 40 seconds, pretty well set up in terms of their positioning to shut down the Knights. You can see Dino and Juicy both boxed into a pretty similar corner, so would be surprised for Direwolves to lose it from here, but stranger things have happened.
That shot from Dino could have done a lot. He just can't fix the SMG-11 spray, and ED goes wide. It's all on to Juicy. We've seen him do some outrageous things, but he's going to be shut down by Pika, who picks up a 2K to close things out. Really nice start here from Direwolves.
Really nice start. They just did a great job trading out that roam clear. It was, you know, not the easiest of roam clears to deal with, but some really sharp shots on a couple of occasions just got them the advantage they needed. Knights were doing a really good job of at least trading those to stay in touch, but the Direwolves, they shut it down, and that was a really solid defense to win in general, being Laundry, but also just being that first round, you know, making that statement that they are here and ready to put a good fight up against the Knights.
And the thing is, you write a different storyline there. Maybe Knights take that first round on an aggressive roam. Things start to look a little bit concerning, you know? How do Direwolves then approach the next round? But that was really good. I'm really happy straight out of the gates. Direwolves have shut that down, and now things become a little bit more stock standard, or so you would expect. You're going to see that top floor hold for Dorms. And I would dare say Knights would probably be a little bit more cautious this time around. However, that rotate all the way across toward Attic, I mean, they leave that unreinforced. I'm really keen to see if they try to play into that.
Yeah, definitely something they might do. I also really like the call to just not try Laundry again yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's easily, I don't know whether you could say the safest, but it's the most comfortable defense pick in terms of sites on this map. You know, teams will always go to Laundry first, and, you know, potentially even their whole halves are won or lost by how well they do on Laundry. So to lose it straight up, not great for the Knights, but I like that they're just not going to repeat it. Just move on, don't dwell on it. And Dorms can be an equally important site. I know we've talked about that quite a lot. So to be able to win this round and bring it back to 1-1, you know, I think that's really good.
Starting out, Direwolves being ultra cautious, not really approaching the actual map itself until fully cleared on those spawn peaks. So maybe they're going to be expecting Knights to be playing a little bit more aggressive here. I mean, you've always got to do your due diligence, be careful. You don't really know what you're going to expect with Knights. Sometimes they come out all guns blazing, and sometimes they go for that more default approach. Round one makes me start to wonder, what have they got in store? They've already got the information on Hulk's cam, but Hayward, would he do any damage here, or is he just going to be shooting drones?
Looks like he's keen to do some damage. He's playing very aggressively at this window. He's not going to falter at all as Jackie Weir runs past. But Dial's establishing a decent pinch on him, so this is where the question of, is it going to be fruitful for any reason? He actually manages to slip by the window. So after all that, Hayward may have just gotten away with his life. Didn't make an impact, but, you know, good to have avoided being that opening kill.
ED, surely that's a nade coming into where Dino's standing. Oh no, both nades have already been used from ED, and it doesn't look like they've hit the mark. That, or we've had a pocket pick from Dino on those bandit batteries. So now they're going to have to look to try and replace them in another way. Is that a drone on site they've been able to get? Because they certainly have the intel of putting where they need to be. Dino now going to be placing the other battery. And oh, that is such unfortunate timing. There go both. Now nothing left in the pocket. Will Souffle find the easy pick?
A little bit of damage to ED actually off that nade, just standing right below. But either way, that's Direwolves doing a really good job clearing out that game's battle to get the wall open for Master. But you can see here, Hayward's still lurking. Dino been shut down off-site there. Either way, Direwolves with a really solid opening now, but minute to go, and Knights answer back. They've got some good control here, Direwolves. This attack has generally been set up quite well. Hayward's kind of the linchpin to save this for Knights, I'd say.
Certainly C4 from underneath as well. Juicy going quite large. That's a huge pick to be able to take early on. Pika, though, holds strong and catches Josh from Attic. The C4 won't be able to find anything. There's no one up in dorms yet. They've got to be careful. Juicy, my God, a 3K. Hayward thinks he's on white, but he is, in fact, in dining. And so now the alarm bells start to ring for Jackie. A 2v2 here. Jackie Wu and Pika are isolated, completely separated from each other. The timing from Hayward doesn't work out. Juicy, he has to go big. He's got to clutch up. The ace on the agenda if he wants this round for the team, but Pika is pushing hard. Time running down, and Juicy just around the corner with the shotgun. Jackie holds firm, and that is another great round for Direwolves.
I actually felt like Juicy was going to get that ace then, and he was going to get that clutch. That felt very doable, but not to be. And a good round yet again from Direwolves. Just really good job isolating the way the Knights are playing around site before they go for this push, and also just getting really good progress towards site. You know, like they did a great job clearing wall denial, good job getting master wall open, just putting that default pressure, so to speak, onto Knights, and then kind of cleaning up off the side. It's putting them in these great positions to win these attacks.
3 in a row potential here. Slight change up for the Knights lineup. CKE being brought. Guess it means you don't have to stick around for too much longer. The Goyo Vulcan Shields will play a part in this, but it's really about how effectively we're going to see a Direwolves clear this. An extension into trophy at the very least, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Burn that utility, do not give up Master and Closet for free. So you can see how much pressure that Games Will could really put on the defense. Nullifies so much of that swing from Pit, and it can really just completely halter anything that you're trying to achieve. I'm still a little bit upset that Hayward wasn't there. He couldn't find more in that position underneath, and it just felt like he was in the greatest position possible for it.
Yeah, he could have turned the tide of that round, 100%, but unfortunately just generally not particularly effective from down there. He certainly delayed a bit of time and took resources away from the main push, but outside of that, you know, he didn't net any of those kills, which is ultimately what the Knights needed to kind of just rebalance that round a bit. So look, they've obviously seen something here that they can adjust. They've had faith to go back to this site as opposed to down to Laundry. So that's something. I certainly feel like it could have been salvageable. You know, they held on to a decent amount of control for the vast majority of that round, the first 2 minutes at least. So I think if they can you know, delay the main push from Direwolves here and just hold tighter off site, that's probably what they're looking for.
I wonder how long it's going to take them to take this trophy control. It looks like Knights are putting a little bit of emphasis on it. They've already been able to deal with both Sawyer gates, and now are they going to? Jeez, they are so efficient with this Raven, wasting no time. 50 seconds, they've already made their mark into the building, as well as nullified that trophy position, and now into Pit as well. I mean, this is great efficiency from Direwolves, but Sage is just too damn cheeky.
Yeah, Shadow just playing a little too comfortable trying to get rid of that BPC from still quite a diagonal angle to the unit. You obviously have to be quite on the side to get the shot, but either way, yeah, great peek from Sage there. And a really good opening for Knights just to get themselves into this position. Shadow in particular, you can see he's actually top fragging for Direwolves. You know, good to get him off the board.
That's good timing from that Electric Claw. It will at the very least find, I think that was 2 X-Kairos that we used. I don't know whether there was a third, but regardless, again, showing the kind of efficiency of this tug, this tug of war that we see from Direwolves and Knights here. The minigame that gets played is so important, and here it is, the next point for them, the next hurdle that they need to get across, and ED executes perfectly. Coming from Z, Hayward had no clue. Knights with only 4 on site now. They've got to deal with the rest of Direwolves.
Yeah, also just a little bit strange with Hayward playing below in that position. Obviously he did it last round, and also playing below without a C4 this time. So, you know, his vertical impact's not particularly big. Maybe some prepared holes that he could play from below, but again, Direwolves recognizing that it happened last round, doing a great job cleaning it up this time. But Sage, he's cleaning up himself here for Knights. He's found 2 for the round, and giving them the man advantage again coming to this final 40 seconds. It's going to be really big for the Knights to be able to hold on to this round.
this has to be secured. There's a Banshee on white stairs as well, so the second they try to make an entrance up that way, there's going to be a lot of noise being made. Souffle coming in from attic. It does look like a lot of that attention is going to be put toward Dawn. There's a double window now under the control of Jackie. That's a huge pick for ED. Josh, once again, that player underneath could have been the linchpin, and now it could be in Direwolf's hands. Dino's completely blind. It allows Jackie to go in deep. He's still holding strong. Direwolves as a pack all come together. Can they find the trade in time? How does Sage survive? In the corner of Kids, he holds on.
Yeah, Direwolves didn't quite see exactly how the situation occurred, but looked like that diffuser was just completely left in trophy. Now, I don't know whether that was just conscious of them to decide to go for the frags, or whether maybe the kit carrier was killed on movement. I just didn't catch it, but I noticed that the diffuser was left in trophy, and unfortunately, it was dire time for Direwolves. They couldn't quite get that last kill, and Knights hang on to that one. And honestly, they should have won it based on the position they were in. Direwolves, though, they storm sight super well and almost swung that for themselves.
Well, that could have been another one in the pocket, Raven. And, I mean, at that point, Knights surely have to take attack timeout. Can't go 3-0 down on your defense of Oregon and not say something about it, not do something about it. Now they've been given that room. They've almost been given a free timeout in winning that final round there. Sage holding on for dear life now gives them a moment of respite, just breathing. At the very least, giving yourself some time to recuperate what hasn't been the greatest start. I mean, the rounds have kind of been somewhat close, you know, mostly coming down to 2v2s, 3v3s, but regardless, Direwolves seem to be kind of holding on for dear life when it matters most. And as we do head back down to the basement, big question for Knights here. Can they make this more efficient? They're bringing in Mozzie, slight difference from what they had last time, so a little bit more intel denial, but how long can they stick this, and how well can Direwolves deal with it?
Yeah, I can respect the Knights trying to double down on this roam strat here for Laundry, and again, I just think because of the bans, this is a good play. You know, it's going to be really tricky to hold elbow with the smoke when you don't have Wamai. You also don't have something like the Clash to help back it up from Pillar. You know, it's just not a viable strat this time around. So what can you do? If you're going to give your opponent snap control, it's really going to be tough to fight back, so you're going to have to just face them in this opening part of the round. So again, I do really like the double down here from Knights, but they've got to make it happen because, honestly, for the majority of the past 3 rounds, it really has felt like Direwolves have just had a lot more of the control.
Certainly the pick of the lot at this point. Josh reaggressing back into the trophy makes things a little bit awkward. Not too. And when you when you kind of consider how well Direwolves have been dismissing these kind of roams, again, the timing, I would say a minute mark, they've got 4 players back to site. It's going to be hard to find Josh no matter what you do. It's the vigil. You really would have to lean into that quite heavily to take him down. And the question is at this point, are they going to, or are they going to let him continue to roam up top with flank watch?
Yeah, it doesn't look like they've hard droned him either, and I have a feeling with his signals, they're going to think he's actually not in the second floor, probably first floor or below. So we've just seen Jackie run right past him. There is no chance Direwolves know he's here, so this could be a really big moment for Knights in this round.
Jackie Wu does not have the meeting hatch to open up, but they've already got meeting hatch itself. I should say attic hatch, my apologies, but now, I mean, really, Josh becomes such a pivotal part. Again, Raven, we talk about this player that's kind of off-site, that's separated from the team. He can do serious damage, but it has not paid off yet for the Knights. This may be the round.
Just has to have an impact because, as you can see on the scoreboard, you know, Josh himself actually hasn't had much of an impact so far in these first 3 rounds. And it's just been the story for Knights. They've had players lurking in really good positions and just not being able to do anything with it. Shadow under complete fire here from the tower stairs with Hayward. Nobody losing their lives to that. And Matic, I've just noticed 30 seconds on the clock, and only just now things are starting to roll.
Yeah, and look at this. Josh in the perfect position. We'll be able to find Shadow now swinging into meeting. There's only 1 player towards blue. Juicy needs to be aware, but Sage might well try to pick this. Josh has gone down. Hayward's find a quick trade. Now Pika, Souffle. They have to come together. Sage is on the tight line. He can't find the kill. Juicy now. He might be up next. He's got the C4 in hand. Souffle caught the player trying to flank around. Pillar. They both come shoulder to shoulder here. Dino and Juicy both with a C4. It's going to be the first over the top. That's got to be confirmed. He doesn't hit it. And now can Pika hold on? The kid's down. Dino tries to hold. But Pika may well be able to win this. My God. What are these clutches? Another one in the books for Direwolves.
Oh man, I can't believe Direwolves clawed that one back. That is going to haunt Juicy for a little bit if the Knights go on to lose this, because that C4 was the easy win for Knights. Plant denial would have been there, and that was just going to be round over, but just misplaced it. Got stuck on top of that cabinet. It did not do enough damage, if any. It didn't quite catch it, but yeah, look, really unfortunate misplay for Knights. They had that one in the bag. We could have been looking at 2-2, but again, really sharp play and bounce back from the Direwolves in that one.
Does feel like one of those nights, Raven, where we're just seeing the team that we don't want to be seeing in this kind of moment from Knights. Feels like things are a little bit disjointed. You know what it feels like? Feels like earlier this stage when they came into stage 3, things weren't exactly settled, things weren't feeling comfortable per se, and I think that it's haunting them once again. They're going up against a team that we know can topple them, a team that if you give them too much, they will take it and run with it. And right now, this is exactly what's happening. Direwolves are running an absolute muck. I mean, what was that? 2 versus 4? 2 versus... I think it was a 2 versus 4. Whatever it was they had to dig deep on that. And now we are seeing Knights change things up a little bit here. We're going to the meeting defense, and there is an extension across towards Showers. So Direwolves have well and truly heard this and will be prepared as needed.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, and look, I guess the other way to put, or to kind of spin this story is, you know, Direwolves easily could have won round 3 in Dorms. Like that, yeah. It could have been 3-0, it could have even been 4-0 right now. So, I mean, it's kind of gone both ways in terms of rounds that have just kind of fallen against what felt like momentum. But I think regardless, alarm bells still have to be there for Knights. This half has well and truly just not been theirs. Direwolves have been absolutely smashing them. And it's kind of reminiscent of that stage 1 match, as you and I were talking about earlier, Rob.
Yeah.
Direwolves came back 6-0 on their attack half in that first game in stage 1. So seems again here, Direwolves just absolutely stepping up on the attack on Oregon.
Really interesting here. This hold, they're going to be hard holding blue as well as the back of rear stage stairs. They've got Juicy on the smoke. They've left the right side wall reinforced if you're looking at it from Big Tower. So this is massive right now. If Direwolves can topple this hold from Dino, they could be in serious trouble here. It's already Juicy that's gone down as the smoke player. And now Jackie Wu knows for a fact Dino's caught in a corner. Knights, I'm just not entirely sure what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, they're having a really tough time here, Rob. Now it's 4 versus 2, all on the shoulders of Sage and Hayward. And we've still got 90 seconds on the round. We're only halfway through this one, and it already feels like it's starting to become a bit of a distant victory possibility for Knights. Even further now with Souffle getting that one. This is not looking good at all for them. And in fact, Rob, that's it. Direwolves just absolutely run over them on that round.
I mean, surely we're seeing attack timeout now. 4-1 up, and Direwolves are well and truly looking to go 5-1. This is not even a case of, oh yeah, they're looking okay, they're looking quite comfortable. Direwolves are running away with this. Knights need to put the brakes on. They have to slow this momentum. I mean, I don't even know how you do it at this point, because a Direwolves that is on fire, Direwolves that is pushing to get out of relegations, a Direwolves that is looking to push for stage 3 playoffs, is a dangerous Direwolves at that.
It really is, and look, they just seem to be the one better handling the circumstances at the moment. It's not like they've had the greatest stage either. I mean, it's been okay, but it hasn't been fantastic, and I think that describes Direwolves' season in general, right? Like, it's been okay, but it hasn't been fantastic. Obviously, they are facing relegations, but it's opposite for Knights. You know, they're just trying to salvage what's been a strong season, and I guess both pressures adding up. Just again, Direwolves are handling that much better than what Knights are.
And right now, you go back and you have a look at the stats for Oregon. Before this game, 4 times we've seen it played in APAC South. It is a 50-50% win rate on the defense. So right now, Direwolves have well and truly hit the pass mark with flying colors. 4-1 up, and they will continue to put pressure on. Like you said, Raven, round 3, I believe it was. that came down to a 3v1. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think whoever was the Yana just ran out of bullets on them and had the Gone 6 on the secondary, because it just felt like it was staring at it for so long at the end of the round. But regardless, like this is what we're coming up against now. This is the conversation we're now telling, is Direwolves. Pass mark, check. Now, 5-1 would be utterly devastating for Knights. Surely that is not a place that they can bring back from.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. And I've just done some very quick math, by the way, and Direwolves, in fact, have double the amount of kills than Knights.
Wow.
It's just, I feel like that really demonstrates the kind of momentum swing here. It shouldn't be closer. Like, if you think about, oh, maybe there's just been some close rounds, it's kind of like, not really. Direwolves have just had really good control this half. They've certainly looked like the better team. It's just a matter of, is Oregon with these bans and just between these teams, is it really just going to be attacker-sided? Because that's really what we saw in stage 1 when they competed. We saw 2 6-0 attack halves. So maybe we're just in for a similar affair.
Juicy from above, or at the very least find a freebie onto Shadow, who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, was unexpected from that position. And at this point, Direwolves seem to be a little bit more slow and methodical than we've seen in previous rounds. They certainly have been making a mark within that minute 30. You know, there's always that gunfight that kind of tends to either lean toward them, or at the very least there's a quick trade. This time, it's stalling out a little bit more. You can see utility flying left, right, and center. 2 players out on big window here. I mean, I'd really love to see what Direwolves are trying to conjure up.
Yeah, taking their time compared to the previous attack rounds, they just look like they're really just, hard setting up for something here. And I can't quite figure out exactly what it was. Like, it looks like it's, I don't know whether I'd call a rush, but it looks like it's kind of like a collapse strat, you know, where they all kind of go at once, but it doesn't seem to be the case, and Knights are just stepping up beautifully here, but traded back from Direwolves suddenly at 3 versus 3.
Yeah, you blink and you would certainly miss it. Dino, Josh, and Juicy. They have to hold here. Direwolves, they've been impeccable in the later parts of this round. Oh, surely not. That can't go through, can it? Yeah, bet your bottom dollar it can. Dino. Oh, no. We're missing it now. ED starting to miss the mark a little bit. Can he make his way in? 30 seconds left in this half Raven. It could go bang.
Definitely could. ED, he's up in games. He's on site. Wow. Dino, Juicy, and Josh all playing very deep here, and now Souffle is just absolutely annihilated Josh.
Kit's on the big window, though. You got to remember, Kit's on the big window. He's now in. Pika goes big once again. A 1v1 is what it comes down to. Juicy with the SMG 11, and Pika wins it again. Time and time again. Pika steps up for Direwolves, and he closes out the half 5-1.
Incredible stuff. Again, it just feels like every time we're getting into these close situations, I just have so much belief that it's going to be Direwolves getting the round victory. It just doesn't matter the odds in terms of man counts or timer or anything. It just feels like Direwolves, they had that confidence to be able to always clutch those rounds. And they basically did. Again, the only round the Knights won, they kind of just scraped through. It really just fell into their favor. Direwolves left the kit and just ran out of time. So in all honesty, that was basically a 6-0 half for Direwolves. So this is a very scary time for Knights.
Protect your bomb.
And a scary time for O's fans as well. I've got to give credit where credit is due. The Guzzler has well and truly given us some stats that have opened our eyes in terms of what this round in particular and what the next 5 rounds or 6 rounds are going to mean for O's fans in one swift way, in one swift slice. Direwolves will knock Knights out of SI contention and shove Wildcard down into relegations for 2022. This is devastating, but this is the power of the Southeast Asian teams and Direwolves specifically. They came into this year with a huge question mark next to their name. Most of us considered them to be, you know, around the 7th, 6th mark, and continuously they have gone toe-to-toe with the biggest teams in the region, and they have shown their worth. Right now they are doing it yet again, and they're about to break O's fans' hearts.
They certainly are.
Attackers have located
And
bombs.
look, they're destroying an OS team in the process, so why not? Oh, quick attack here, Rob.
Yeah, very quick attack. They're not... I mean, I'm still kind of lost as to what I'm seeing right now. I'm still absolutely bamboozled. The kit's already being stuck, and now a 2 versus 4. Blink and you miss it kind of stuff once again from the Knights. Pika and Shadow are left to try and claw this back, and maybe there's some hope left in the Oceanic region yet. And it does come in the form of the Knights. They shut down the round, and what a way to kickstart the second half.
That was brutal. Another kind of blink and you miss it moment. I know we said that pretty much in the last round, but that literally just happened. That was a nicely executed rush from the Knights. You know, we're kind of trying to set up some context, and they're just on site. But look, really well executed from them. Pulled it off, and maybe this is really what they needed for some confidence, and not just within themselves, but to at least take some away from Direwolves, kind of just let them know that the Knights are still here and they can bring this back.
The one round we decide to storyline a little bit. The one round we decide to talk about the implications and what's going on in terms of the actual overall standings, and well, Knights go ahead and do that. I think one of the main point was also, you know, the Direwolves set up in terms of their defensive operators. It was quite spicy. It truthfully was. You know, we had the Echo, we had the Cap Cam, we did have the Alla as well, which is making a bit of a reprisal on that role once again. But it was certainly something that could have been very interesting should it have paid off. Knights read that one perfectly. And now we will start to test, 1, the durability of Knights' mental game, and 2, how well Direwolves can close this out. Because really, Raven, that's what we're looking at right now. Until Knights can show us that they are here to fight, this is all Direwolves.
Yeah, the other thing we actually get to test is whether a more traditional elbow hold will actually work with these bands, because we theorized a lot with Knights. You're not going for the roam play. We felt like that was probably a good decision, even though it didn't really net them any launching rounds. But Direwolves have gone much more traditional. You can see they've got the smoke, they've got the Jaeger, well set up in elbow. Pika, I'm sure he's got the FO12 shotgun. You know, this just feels more normal, but they've just made some adjustments because of the bans.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Sense back to
Attackers have
normality.
recovered their diffuser.
God, I just remember 2020, man. That's all you ever saw. Blue holes. Even when it was dorms, it was a blue hold. You just knew you were going to have to get past it at some point. Pika opens the bank account nice and early here. That is I mean, quite a large pick in terms of, you know, the firepower. You think of, oh God, both Sage and Hayward have been taken down. Josh does find a refrag. This is just utter chaos in these early rounds.
Yeah, the Knights are just foot on the pedal. They are not slowing down, and they're very aggressive with these entries. It's really good, honestly. They're doing a great job of just getting up in the face of Direwolves, just not letting them feel comfortable. They've got a really good pinch here on meeting if Juicy gets this one, which he does. That's the Knights bringing that one back beautifully. Also got to say, Pika actually does have the Scorpion. A little bit of a surprise. Certainly seen him pop some heads with it before, but you know, it seems to get a lot less play than the shotgun these days.
Yeah, the shotgun is a beast, especially down toward Pillar, where you can just kind of dance around and still find a little bit of cover for yourself. You know, close quarter battles, it's certainly going to reign supreme, but not in this case. Really curious to see. I think they pulled the shield away from Blue, away from Elbow, and have placed it somewhere else. I actually cannot, for the life of me, see. There you go. So ED going to be playing with a bit of cover and a bit more safety, hoping to God that they don't really start to push Blue, which Knights could still do.
Looks like that's exactly what they're about to do, in fact. Juicy is rotating there right now. They are firmly set up for like that North-style execute around Tower and Blue. So, yeah, look, Direwolves constantly adapting here to what the Knights are doing, and Knights are constantly adapting to Direwolves. They are so ready for this execute. They've just got a little bit of plant and to deal with, and then they should be set.
Let's see. Direwolves, can they hold on strong here? Juicy's going to start to open up that Blue spacing. ED, close on the corner as well. That's done. That is done. See you later. That is Ose in the bin. SI no longer on the cards for the Knights, nor is the ability to get out of relegations for wildcard, all within a swift 4-second play. That's it.
Yeah, that really, it's it's scary when you put it in that context, Rob. Like, that just felt like it was going to be another good Knights round. Felt like they were doing such a great job, but yeah, in just a matter of seconds, such big implications for a lot of things has just occurred. So, look, congrats to Direwolves. It's been a good game for them so far. Pretty decent season. We'll preface it a lot more when the game's actually over, but this has just been a really dominant match, honestly. Like, I expected they'd put up a good fight, but it's been much more than that. They just look like absolute heavyweights against an underclassed Knights.
That is the best way that you could say it. Underclass. Underclass, underperforming right now for the Knights, and I don't say that lightly. I am in literally every context of the word a play-by-play caster, but it just does not feel like Knights have been able to turn up today. It does not feel like the Knights that we have known and loved in Stage 2. A tumultuous Stage 3 has left us in this position. Last place on the cards here. No SI. So many storylines that have just crumbled at their own hands, and no doubt the desk will break that down in so much more detail, but at this point it just really starts to beg the question, are Knights going to show us what we came here to see? We came here to see a solid matchup between these two teams, and right now Direwolves have just shut them down at every corner.
Yeah, look, all credit to Direwolves, honestly. They have
100%.
absolutely shown up this game. They really have. And
Nice.
That's at least a good opening kill there from Sage. Potentially a little bit too late, but either way, good opening. Pika, in particular, you can see there he's on 10 kills. He's been absolutely firing up with Souffle in particular this game. So, good one to get off early. Look, Knights definitely still in this match, but unfortunately the 2 points for Knights in particular, it's just not really going to cut it.
And there's no, you know, it does have to be said, there's barely any flame when Direwolves are... It's just the best way to put it. They have been solid on their roam clears on defense. They were aggressive as well, on their attack, aggressive as well. They have been phenomenal throughout this game, and Knights right now just don't have the answer. They don't have what is needed and what is required of them. As it seems like things start to slow down, the dust is starting to settle, but Sage isn't. Double kill for him so far.
Sage in particular just stepping up so much this stage for Knights, but unfortunately it has just not been a good stage overall for the team. Stepping up here yet again. Still 90 seconds left on the round, but the Knights have a really great man advantage and a really good setup so far. Good positioning, lots of holes open. They're kind of almost ready for an execute, so they've got time really up their sleeve.
Haywood, does he get caught out? Shadow finds the pick. Can he find another? The information is all but too good for Direwolves. Josh can't find the kill, and now it's Dino to salvage something. Jackie, no clue where those shots came from, eventually starts to get the indication. Dino rotates the trophy, but this looks like it's all done and dusted. How much can he really achieve? A 2v1. It should more or less be a trade. Shadow closes things out, and a unbelievable performance from Direwolves. That has now put them in the best possible position, not only for the relegations, but of course for Stage 3.
Yeah, look, and we've come to love ED in particular and a lot of these interviews and the team just throughout the year. I'm sure the desk are going to talk about it a lot more, but I just love to say they were a team that we wrote off a lot in Stage 1. You know, when we first started APAC South, we felt like this roster, back when they were as 7th Heaven, would probably finish down the bottom. We felt like they would just kind of not really fit in within the league, but they really proved us wrong in Stage 1 and continued to do so throughout the year. And honestly, to finish Stage 3 off like this, I think is just a great statement from them. And I'd love to see them try and make a bit of a deeper playoffs run if they make it through.
Well, look, to be honest, at this point, you know, anything is really possible. We've seen Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Any team can really show up, especially when it comes to playoffs. Most teams start to really get that fire burning once they feel like they're going to be making that playoffs run. And look, I'm excited for what 7th Heaven have to offer. But, you know, we're going to take a minute here, Raven, because Knights, they just didn't, they haven't hit the mark in Stage 3 at all.
No, they haven't, and it's really sad. Like, I just don't understand what's been going on. You know, we've been getting some insights from Juicy here and there from the Knights through various interviews that they've just had some struggles they're trying to work through, and obviously some inconsistencies, but they just never seem to get a handle on it in stage 3, and just to see the wheels kind of fall off the cart at the last moment. They were just in such a good position to qualify for SI after their stage 2 performance, and yeah, just the stage they really needed to hold on to at least half the form the most. They've really just lost it, and it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Certainly heartbreaking for the OS fans at home. However, that's going to do us for our first matchup. We'll leave it in the capable hands of the desk.
What an impressive result for Dire Wolves, and just gets them that little bit closer to a top 4 finish for the Knights. Well, it's basically stage over and SI dreams over for them. What a way for them to close out their campaign. Dev, it started off this year as a year full of hope and promise for the Knights, and it's just all capitulated at the final hurdle.
Yeah, honestly unbelievable. Knights were so close to getting first place in stage 1 for APAC South, and they just missed out on that, went to APAC playoffs, got first place through the playoffs anyway, so that's 3rd overall in APAC. Stage 2, they managed first place in APAC South due to travel restrictions, couldn't go to the major. It makes you wonder, like, if they had gone to the major, would that extra practice or motivation have changed their fortunes for stage 3? Because I know they were motivated. Like, they said they were hungrier than ever coming to stage 3, but like, there's no other words than like absolutely gutting. That's how it must feel to be Knights right now. Look, I do want to make this also a bit about Dire Wolves, because this is a very exciting moment for them. While Knights might say goodbye to their chances of going to SI at least through points, they'll have to go through open quals now, which is going to be very stacked in APAC. Dire Wolves are confirmed for the 2022 season, which I've no doubt they're completely ecstatic about, and I think that they very much deserve that spot.
I was actually going to go to you on this, Gus, in terms of Dire Wolves. What a way to close out this stage 3. Wins in a row, 8 of the last 9 points available they were able to achieve. They started off this stage a little bit slow through the first 4 play days, a bit of jitters, maybe new org jitters, but they've come through strong in the final couple of play days. Yeah,
they've really showed up when it matters, when we are seeing other teams maybe crumble apart a little bit. They've been able to sort of build themselves back up. A strong back end, as you mentioned, and in doing so, they avoid relegations. I think at this point, they're about 95% confirmed for playoffs for Stage 3 as well, which is super exciting. Unfortunately, that is another dagger to the hearts of OS fans. So a little bit of sadness for us, at least, here on the desk, because we're all from OS's wildcard. Now cannot make it out of relegations. They needed a regulation loss here from Dire Wolves, because they then had the head-to-head, etc. But yeah, that won't be the case. So that unfortunately does lock in order and wildcard for relegations for APAC South.
Let's go and have a chat with Jackie Wu from the Dire Wolves. No ED today. I will say firstly, congratulations, Jackie, on the victory. It's looking good in terms of playoffs. How's the team feeling off the back of that victory against the Knights?
We are so happy, and like, we're trying so hard like recently, and we practice so hard like every day. You know, we early spring and, you know, late night we do review again. And I want to just thank the coach to helping us like so hard, and I think we deserve like the victory for like we pay so hard. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, Jackie. You guys played really well today. Were you expecting the game to be as one-sided as it was in the end? Because at the end of the day, it was not an easy win, but one of your easier wins so far.
And I think my team like performance is really like good, but I think I still need to like overcome my nervous. Sometimes like I will be a little bit shaking right now, and I just can't believe like we won the game, and I'm really excited about, you know, future games, and I can perform better, like just for the team like that.
Yeah, Jackie, congratulations on being confirmed for 2022, and congratulations on joining Dire Wolves. You're very new to the team, and we've only seen you for a couple of games. How have you found it joining at this level of competition and playing against these really, really strong teams?
So first of all, I don't trust myself, because I usually not playing like against so high level players. But you know, ED and like Pika just keep encourage me and so hard. Like my coach even, they just talk to me every time and just told me just trust yourself, and I did it. And I think, yeah, we deserve this.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and you individually, I think you've earned a warm welcome into APAC South League. The team is now confirmed for the 2022 season. How is the vibe? How are you feeling, and how is the team feeling about going into next year?
I think we're kind of doing well right now. I mean, because yeah, we practice more than I think last stage, because I'm not in the team last stage. So, but I heard it. We don't have like much practice last stage, but this stage like we work so hard, and I think we can handle the future like games. So I just want to make better and just play better, just help the team to maybe we can make it on major. I don't know, that's my dream, and if we really make it, I will be so happy.
Well, the practice is definitely paying off. You guys are looking great, Jackie. I'll give you the floor here. Any shout-outs?
And who give like anyone support like Darvo and support me, I will just really thank you, and maybe just keep watching us and we will be better and better.
You guys are always fascinating to watch. We love cheering you guys on, and hopefully, if all goes well, we'll see you in the playoffs as well. Best of luck for the rest of the stage.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Well, Jackie Wu suddenly has taken over ED in terms of our warm-up favorites. No, that's not possible. But honestly, Guz, it is a team that is just full of vibrant characters. They're great to watch. They bring a good attitude, and suddenly now they're bringing some good siege at the back end of the stage.
Yeah, we could see it there in the interview, right? Some really vibrant positivity, and I feel like that can go a long, long way in Siege. If you have a positive mindset, you can see that translate to results. So they can relax a little bit now. They are locked in for next year, as Dev mentioned. Not quite for playoffs yet. Still 3 games to go. A lot of different combinations of results that could go against them, but for the most part, they're looking really good. And yeah, who knows? Maybe the dream of making a major could stay alive. It means a lot to these teams, particularly in APAC South. A lot of these players have never been to an international event, so that's a big, big storyline for them.
Quickly, Dev, before we go to the break, final words on the Knights?
Just absolutely gutting. And I was just messaging Juicy. I think that there's no one more disappointed than themselves right now. But they've got to turn their attention to the Six Invitational Open qualifiers. It's no doubt their next goal, and I believe that at their highest potential, at the potential that they have shown that they are capable of, they're the best team in APAC. So I think that it's just a matter of time, and if they can get back there, there's no doubt that we'll see them at SI.
Well, there's a team that probably wants to stake their claim for one of the best in APAC. It's the Chiefs. They're going to be taking on Order after the break.
So now you're here again.